Did you know that Adventureland was going to be replaced by an Indiana Jones land? Want to find out more about it? Stick with us. Hello everyone, I'm Parker, your Fastpass Facts host, and I'm here to tell you all about another planned land that never got to become a reality in Disneyland. But first, let's go back to a world where Indiana Jones doesn't exist yet. The year was 1972, and George Lucas was working on his next movie, American Graffiti. Lucas has a tendency of working on different projects at a time, and so while he was working on American Graffiti, he came up with an epic action adventure featuring a hero named Indiana Jones. The idea for this project was to create a new adventure saga with a brave but smart hero, based on 1930s movie serials. Time passed, and Lucas wanted to see this project become a reality, and so he started looking for people who were interested in creating it. He first presented the project to Phil Kaufman, and they were close to doing the movie together, but Kaufman lost interest in it and dropped it after Clint Eastwood hired him to write The Outlaw Josie Wales. While all this was happening, Lucas was working in his soon-to-be-hit Star Wars. It was May 25th, 1977, the day Star Wars came out, and George Lucas didn't wait for a second to see if his new film was a hit. He got on a plane and went straight to Hawaii, where he ran into his old friend Steven Spielberg, who was taking time off after finishing Close Encounters. They were talking at the beach about their upcoming ideas and projects, and Spielberg mentioned that he wanted to do a new action film, kind of like the James Bond saga, but Lucas said he had a better idea and told him all about Indiana Jones. Spielberg loved the idea from the beginning and decided to work with Lucas to make it a reality. But who would finance this project? Well, the problem was that not one studio wanted in on the project. Why? Because Lucas has gone way out of budget in making his last movie, The Empire Strikes Back. He had taken all the profits that he made from American Graffiti and Star Wars, and even his house, and put it into financing this movie, so studios were scared that this was going to happen again with Raiders of the Lost Ark. And guess who took a chance on this movie? Michael Eisner himself. At the time, Eisner was working in Paramount, and Lucas went over to him and started telling him about the project, the characters, the story, the look and feel of the whole thing, and he even told him that Spielberg was involved in it. The best thing was that Lucas promised he could do the whole thing for $20 million. At first, Eisner didn't believe him. How could he if Spielberg was attached to the project? But then Lucas told him that Steve was his friend. They had talked it over and he agreed that they could pull it off with that budget by making it like a B movie. And so Indiana Jones came to life, and it became a success and a world phenomenon. But now let's talk a little bit about Lucas and Eisner's relationship and how it came to the parks. It was 1980, and Disney was in a bit of a crisis. The company was loved for its classic movies and its parks, but it had a bit of trouble staying current. And that's where Eisner came in. One of Eisner's first ideas was to create something that would bring together the company's three main divisions: the theme parks, the movies, and Disney Imagineering. That's when Captain EO came to life. Eisner asked Lucas to be a part of the project, and Lucas chose Francis Ford Coppola as their director. Captain EO, as many of you remember, was a big-budget 3D sci-fi short film that would star Michael Jackson, who 2 years after the release of Thriller was arguably the biggest star in the world at the time. This ambitious, highly publicized mini-movie played exclusively at Disney parks and served as an announcement that the company was about to enter a new era, which was exactly what Eisner wanted. This was the first attraction to open at a Disney park with George Lucas's name attached, and it wouldn't be the last, because years later, Star Tours came into the picture and it was a huge success, but we'll talk about this another time. For now, we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition. After the success of Captain EO and Star Tours, Imagineers were asked to create a new groundbreaking ride based on Lucas's wildly successful Indiana Jones series. And they came up with something huge. The plans not only contained a new amazing ride, but they also called for a radical transformation to Adventureland. Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition would have been an expansion to Adventureland, where guests would enter a mythical temple and travel amongst caverns to find two rides inside. Guests would get to choose the experience they would like to ride. The first ride would be an enhanced motion vehicle attraction, kind of like the one we have now in Indiana Jones Adventure. Guests would follow the route into the motor pool where they would climb aboard the vehicles that would take them deep inside the mythological temple to help Indiana Jones in his quest of the Golden Shrine. It would have gone through Indy's most famous escapades, like his close encounter with the huge rolling boulder. The second ride would be more of a thrill, having a minecart roller coaster similar to the scene in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where rickety, rusted minecarts whiz along volcanic chasms. Guests would have hiked uphill to an old abandoned mine shaft that would be the loading station and enjoy a thrilling indoor roller coaster. But that's not all. 2 other existing attractions would have been incorporated into this new ride. After being amazed by the backside of water, guests riding the Jungle Cruise would have gone right into a flooded cavern inside the newly built river temple, allowing them to catch a glimpse of a sacrificial altar. There, they would have braved many of the same booby traps that Indy already snuck past before emerging from the caves, back into the relative safety of the jungle. But before going back into the jungle, the boats would have passed under a new bridge where the Disneyland Railroad would have passed through. That's right, Disneyland steam trains would have also gone right through this new show building, where they would have given guests a glimpse of the giant rolling ball sequence from the Jeep Expedition and the volcanic cavern from the Mine Car attraction. This all sounds great, so what happened? Well, as we said, back in the 1980s, Disneyland was screaming for new attractions, and Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition was not the only new plan in the works. Splash Mountain was also fighting to be made a reality, and apparently Michael Eisner fell in love with it. Also, not only did Splash Mountain provide a much needed water attraction for Disneyland, but also animatronics from the recently closed America Sings show could be reused in this new ride, saving a lot of time and money. Legend says that there was even a piece of concept art that actually combined these 2 attractions. Imagine Indiana Jones standing at the top of Chickapin Hill, cracking his whip at Brer Fox and Brer Bear, who are trying to recover a precious golden idol shaped like Brer Rabbit. Of course, as we all know, Splash Mountain won at the end, and Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition was gone. But that's not the last we would hear of Indy in the park, because years later, the 40 years of adventure anniversary came, and with it, Indiana Jones Adventure was opened. And even though this attraction is not as ambitious as Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition was supposed to be, it's an amazing ride that captures Indy's adventures perfectly. Thankfully, the relationship between Lucasfilm and Disney is far from over after Disney purchased Lucasfilm back in 2012, and soon we'll get to see Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disney parks. So, are you Team Splash Mountain, or would you have been Team Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition? Let us know in the comments.